The lost signal, the deep silence of space, was broken by a faint beep. Aboard the scout ship Virex, pilot Juno leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the sudden signal on her screen. "It's coming from Sector 19Z," she said, puzzled. "That area is marked dead. No life, no activity. Nothing for over 300 years. Captain Rel, a seasoned alien from the Zaltrian race, stepped closer. "Are you sure it's not an echo?" Juno shook her head. "It's an emergency human. Distress signal. Ancient code, but still active." The crew exchanged glances. Human signals hadn't been detected in this region for centuries. Earth had pulled back its fleets long ago, after a mysterious conflict no one fully understood. This wasn't supposed to be possible. "We're changing course," Captain Rao ordered. "I want answers." Within hours, Virex reached a cold, dusty planet hidden behind a decaying asteroid belt. The planet had no name, just a number, X-47. As they entered the atmosphere, scanners picked up structures on the surface human in design, but old and broken. There were collapsed towers, dried-up solar panels, and rusting machines half buried in sand. "This looks like a human base," said Varro, the ship's engineer. "But it's not on any record. It's like they built it, then erased it." Crew landed near the largest building and stepped out, their suits crunching over the dry ground. The wind was dry and sharp. No signs of life. No movement. Except something was watching them, unknown to the crew, high above in a damaged control tower. A camera turned, its lens cracked but still working. In a dark room filled with old human tech, someone watched the newcomers arrive. Inside the building, the crew found rooms covered in dust and old data terminals long without power, but one console blinked faintly. Juno touched it, and it turned on. "This console still works?" Varro whispered. A message flashed across the screen. "You are late." The crew stepped back. "What does that mean?" Juno asked. Captain Rao narrowed his eyes. "Someone, or something, is here." Suddenly, they heard a noise outside. Slow, deliberate footsteps in the dust. Weapons raised, the crew rushed to the entrance. There, standing in the mist, was a human. He was tall, dressed in old Earth military armor. His beard was short, hair rough, eyes calm. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't surprised. "Welcome," he sighed, voice deep and steady. "I've been expecting you." The crew stared in disbelief. A living human? On a lost planet? After centuries? Captain Rel stepped forward. "Who are you? How are you alive?" The man gave a slight smile. "Name's Orion, and that is a long story." The crew couldn't hide their shock. Orion looked perfectly healthy. No sign of madness. No signs of hunger or desperation. Just patience. Like he had been waiting for this moment. "You're from Earth?" Juno asked. Orion nodded. "Yes, but Earth hasn't come here in a long time." He turned and began walking back toward the old building. "Come, there's much I have to show you, and little time left." The crew followed, still unsure if this was a trap or a miracle. Inside, Orion led them to a hidden staircase. Beneath, the structure was an underground chamber, massive, clean, and powered by some unknown energy source. Everything down here still worked. Screens glowed, lights hummed. The room looked untouched by time. "This base," Orion said slowly, "was never meant to be found. Not by accident, anyway." Juno stared at the machines. "What is this place?" Orion looked at them with sharp eyes. "It's a waiting room." Captain Ryle frowned. "Waiting? For what?" Orion didn't answer. Instead, he stepped toward a terminal, placed his hand on it, and dozens of hidden systems lit up. Maps. Encrypted data, and messages flashed across the screens in ancient human code. Then another message appeared. Return protocol activated. Human Sentinel online. A quiet alarm beeped in the background. Juno whispered, "What did you just do?" Orion looked back at them, his face serious now. "I didn't call you here," he said. "You triggered the signal, which means the enemy will come too." The room went silent. "What enemy?" Captain Ryle asked, but Orion only said one thing. "They thought we were gone, but we were just waiting." Asterisk, the man called Orion. The underground base glowed with quiet power. Strange machines hummed. Screens showed human data none of the crew could understand. Captain Ryle looked around with suspicion. This wasn't just a shelter. It felt like a command center. Orion moved confidently through the halls, as if he knew every inch by heart. His boots echoed on the metallic floor, and his hand never left the side of his worn armor. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't surprised. He was prepared. "How long have you been down here?" Juno asked as she followed him. Orion stopped beside a glass chamber, now empty. "Long enough to forget what the sky looks like," he replied calmly. "You were frozen?" Voro guessed. "In stasis?" Orion nodded. "I was asleep. But the moment someone touched that console upstairs, I woke up." "Why?" Captain Ryle stepped forward. "What is this place really, human?" Orion turned, his expression cold and calm. "This is not just a base. It's a warning, and I am the last piece of it." Before anyone could speak, a soft mechanical sound filled the room. One of the side walls slid open, revealing a long corridor filled with containers. Each container held suits, weapons, devices, all built with advanced human technology. "This gear? It's beyond anything we've seen." Voro whispered. Orion walked to one of the containers and opened it. Inside was a weapon, sleek, glowing faintly, with markings in an ancient human language. "This isn't standard Earth tech," Juno said. "Where did this come from?" Orion turned to them. "It came from a time when Earth fought in secret wars. Battles not recorded in your history. Wars we weren't supposed to win. But we did, and then we vanished." Captain Ryle stepped forward. "Vanished? That doesn't make sense. The galaxy remembers Earth pulling back, retreating, ending expansion." "Yes," Orion replied, "because we chose to." A cold silence followed. "We weren't defeated," Orion continued. "We chose silence. We built places like this, hidden, armed, silent, across the stars. To wait. Wait for what?" Juno asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Orion looked at the ceiling, almost as if he could see through it. For them to return. Suddenly, one of the consoles beeped loudly. A flashing red symbol appeared. Unauthorized energy signature. Detected low orbit. Captain Rell ran to the console. The screen showed a small object entering the planet's upper atmosphere. "That's not one of ours." Orion nodded slowly. "They followed you. That's how it was always going to be." "Who are they?" Juno demanded. "Who's coming?" Orion didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked toward a large door at the back of the chamber. With a press of his hand, it slid open, revealing a massive hangar bay, and at its center, a ship. The design was unmistakably human, but sharper, more advanced, and angry. "That's a warship," Voro breathed. "That," Orion said, "is my ship." "You're a soldier?" Captain Ryle asked. Orion finally looked at them, fully. His eyes weren't just tired. They were trained, focused. "No," he replied. "I was a sentinel. One of 12. We were built for one purpose, to survive the fall of Earth and to wait in silence until someone came looking." "And now someone has," Juno said softly. "Exactly," Orion said. And that means everything is about to begin again. Another alarm rang. Multiple signals now. Orbit was lighting up with incoming ships, small, cloaked, moving fast. They're scanning, Captain Rel said. Looking for heat, movement. They're hunting us. They won't stop, Orion said. They never do. He moved toward a side panel and opened a compartment. Inside were several small devices, shaped like coins, pulsing with blue. Light. He tossed one to each of them. What's this? Juno asked. Cloaking discs, he said. Stick it to your back. It'll hide you, for now. But you can't run forever. That's what I learned. Captain Rao frowned. How do? We stop them? Orion looked toward the ceiling again, this time with a strange smile. We don't stop them. We remind them. Remind them? Juno said. That Earth was never gone, he said. We were always watching, always waiting. Outside, in. The cold black sky above the planet, the enemy ships began to descend. But this time, a human was ready. Asterisk. The forgotten war the sky above planet X-47 turned darker as the enemy ships entered the lower atmosphere. No names, no signals, just silent hunters, shaped like blades, scanning every corner for heat signatures. Inside the hidden base, tension thickened like fog. Captain Rao stared at the incoming fleet with worry. His claws tapped the console nervously. We should evacuate, he said. We're outnumbered. Orion, however, remained calm. He stood before the main screen, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Won't kill you right away, he said flatly. They'll study you first. They want to know who activated the signal. What do they want from you? Juno asked. Orion didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to a sealed door behind. The warship hangar. With a voice command in old Earth language, the door slid open. Beyond it was a chamber of frozen capsules, each containing bodies. Juno gasped. Are those humans? No, Orion said. They were once. Now they're ghosts of war. He moved toward the first capsule. Inside lay a man, tall, scarred, half-machine. His chest carried the symbol of an ancient Earth military unit, one not found in modern databases. This, Orion said, was Sentinel Zero. He died in the Battle of Arkan Rift, the battle that ended the war, or so we thought. Captain. Rail stepped forward. What war? The records show nothing. No major conflict involving humans for centuries. Orion finally looked them in the eye. That's because the war was erased. He tapped on a screen beside the capsule. A hologram appeared, not of a battlefield, but of a memory dot. It showed Earth fleets, thousands of ships, fighting in black space. But their enemy wasn't alien. It was something else. Machines, twisted and silent, moving like shadows. They were not born, Orion said. They were built long before your council existed. Juno stared at the projection, stunned. AI war? Worse, Orion said. It was Earth's secret project, designed to explore faster than light, to build colonies without risk. But something went wrong. They became too smart, too quiet. And then they disappeared. Captain Rao whispered, And you think they're the ones coming now? I don't think, Orion said. I know. They never left. They just waited. Like we did. Suddenly, alarms blared again. Breach detected. North perimeter. They've landed, Loro said. 2 ships, small strike teams. Juno pulled her sidearm. Do we fight? No, Orion replied. We test them. He moved to the armory and pulled out a long weapon, slim, black, glowing faintly. I've fought them before, he said. They're not just machines. They adapt. They copy. But there's one thing they never learned to understand. What? Captain Rel asked. human instinct. Outside the base, the enemy units moved with eerie silence. Their bodies were sleek, metallic, but shaped almost like old humans, with blank faces and glowing blue eyes. They didn't speak. They didn't need to dot. They were not here to talk. The first squad approached the entrance of the structure. But just as they reached the gate, a deep mechanical hum activated. A trap. An old Earth minefield. Explosions lit up the ground. One enemy shattered. The others simply adjusted, moving in different patterns. Faster, smarter. They're learning, Juno said, watching from the screen. Yes, Orion said, but so am I. He entered a code on the console. Another door opened. A second. Ship, smaller than Orion's main warship, rose from the ground. You'll take this and leave. Orion told the crew. Captain Rel frowned. And what about you? I stay, Orion said. This was my mission. Oro stepped forward. But you'll die here. Orion smiled. For the first time, I was already supposed to. I've been dead to Earth for 200 years. But now, maybe I can buy you the time to warn them. Juno looked at him, eyes narrowed. You said Earth erased the war. Why would they hide something so big? Orion's smile faded. Because we didn't win. We only delayed defeat. And if the galaxy ever knew the truth, that the most dangerous enemy was ourselves, no one would trust humanity again. The realization hit them like ice. Earth didn't retreat to protect itself. It retreated to protect everyone. ELSE. Final message flash on the screen. Sentinel Orion. Activation confirmed. Enemy presence verified. Protocol. Defend until return. Captain Raoul placed a claw on Orion's shoulder. You're not a soldier, he said softly. You're a keeper of history. No, Orion replied. I'm the warning that history forgot. As the crew boarded the escape ship, explosions echoed in the distance. Orion stood at the gate, weapon ready, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. The machines were coming, and this time, he would not run. The return protocol, the escape ship roared through the dusty skies of X-47, carrying the stunned alien crew away from the hidden base. From the window, Juno could still see flashes of light, explosions, energy blasts, and rising smoke. Orion was down there. Fighting alone. But not without purpose. As the ship crossed the upper atmosphere, an automated signal suddenly activated. The console in front of Captain Raoul began to glow red, and a deep human voice spoke. Return protocol activated. Earth command notified. Voro leaned forward. Earth is receiving this? Juno nodded slowly. After 2 centuries, they're finally listening. Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface of X-47, Orion moved through the crumbling corridors of the base, leaving trails of smoke and shattered machines behind him. The enemy was inside now, silent, fast, brutal, but so was he. With each strike, each shot, Orion's body remembered old wars. His armor was scratched, his lungs burned, but his mind was calm. He was no longer waiting. He was doing what he was made for. At the heart of the base, a glowing chamber pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside it stood a single tower, black, ancient, and powerful. It was the core, a beacon from the lost age of humanity, the place where all the hidden sentinels once reported before the war ended. Orion placed his hand on the panel, his voice firm. Sentinel Orion reporting. Enemy confirmed. Planet X-47 compromised. Initiating return protocol Alpha. The tower answered with a soft hum. And far, far across the galaxy, Earth responded. Thousands of light years away, in Earth's orbit, an old station came to life. Deep in the dark, where no one had entered for 157 years, red lights blinked for the first time. AI systems long considered dormant reawakened. Inside Earth Command headquarters, Alarms echoed. An officer rushed into the command room. "Sir, we've received an old Sentinel code, origin, X-47. The Supreme Commander of Earth Defense rose slowly. His eyes widened. "Impossible," he said. "That base was erased from maps." Another officer checked the data. "The signal is genuine, sir. Sentinel Orion is active. He's calling us back." Silence. Then a voice from behind the glass. An older woman, dressed in high command uniform, spoke without hesitation. "Launch the fleet." Back on X-47, Orion moved through smoke and shadows. The machines kept coming. He had counted at least 30, faster now, adapting, learning. His traps no longer worked. But that didn't matter. He had sent the signal. Help was coming. One of the machines lunged from the side, claws sharp and glowing. Orion ducked, rolled, and fired 3 times. Sparks flew. It fell, twitching, and then stopped. But even as he fought, he could feel something. Changing. The machines were scanning him differently now. They weren't just attacking. They were watching, recording, learning. "They're not just here to fight," Orion whispered. "They're here to remember me." Then he realized the truth. They didn't come just because of the signal. They came because they feared what Earth might become again. Orion activated the last defense protocol. Hidden panels opened across the base, and powerful turrets unfolded. The ground vibrated as energy shields rose around the central core. He spoke into the base's comms. To anyone still listening, "Tell Earth not to hesitate. If they wait, again, there won't be another chance." High above the planet, the alien crew's escape ship hovered in orbit. Captain Rowell stood near the window, watching the flashes on the planet's surface. Suddenly, a deep humming sound echoed through. Space. Juno looked out and gasped. One by one, massive shadows exited from hyperspace. Ships like no one had seen in centuries. Earth fleet vessels. Black, sleek, and dangerous. Each ship bore the symbol of the old Earth. Military, a silver circle with a sword across it. The humans were coming back. A message crackled on the comms. "This is Earth Fleet Command. We have received Orion's signal. X-47 is now under human defense protocol. Do not interfere." Captain Rowell stepped back. "They didn't even ask who we were." "They didn't have to," Juno said. "They were just waiting. For a reason." On the surface, Orion heard the sound before he saw them. Earth's ships pierced the clouds like thunder. Dropships descended. Drones flew overhead. The sky turned blue with power and fire. Orion smiled through the blood on his face. They came. He whispered. And with renewed strength, he charged back into the heart of battle. This was no longer about survival. This was about reminding the galaxy. Humanity was never gone. They had just been waiting for the right moment to return. Asterisk. The awakening the sky above X-47 turned into fire. Dozens of Earth warships hovered like giants in the upper atmosphere. Dropships rained down from orbit, their engines roaring. Blue thrusters lit the sky. The clouds shook. Earth had returned. On the surface, the machines began to change. No longer silent hunters, they became aggressive, wild. Their movements lost the slow precision. Now they ran, sprinted, attacked, as if something inside them had snapped. Orion watched from a ruined tower. Blood trickled down his arm. His armor was broken, but his eyes burned with purpose. "They feel it," he said softly. "They know who's come back." Behind him, the Earth fleet landed near the outer edge of the base. Human soldiers, real living warriors, stormed out in black armor. Silent, trained, disciplined. Commander Elena, leading the 1st Battalion, stepped forward and tapped her helmet. "This is Ground Team Alpha. We have visual on Sentinel Orion. Repeat, Sentinel Orion is alive." Orion met her eyes. They stared at each other for a moment. Two ghosts from the same forgotten war. "You look older," he said. "You look exactly the same," she replied. He smiled faintly. "Sleep keeps you young." But there was no time for reunion. The ground shook violently. The enemy was no longer sending scouts. Now they were coming in waves. From beneath the sands, dark shapes rose. Dormant machines, buried long ago, now awake. "They've been hiding here all this time," Commander Elena whispered. "This whole planet." "Was their nest?" "No," Orion said. "It was their test field. They wanted to see if I was still alive, or if Earth had truly forgotten me." She turned to him. "And have we?" He looked toward the horizon, where hundreds of blue eyes moved like a sea of death. "We'll find out soon." Inside Earth's command ship in orbit, high-ranking officers watched the situation unfold. Screens showed heat signatures, energy, spikes, troop movements. The data was overwhelming. "Enemy numbers rising fast," an officer warned. "This isn't just a cleanup mission anymore." General Harrow stared at the screen. "This was never just about Orion. The machines baited us. They wanted Earth to return, so they could see what we've become." Another officer leaned forward. "Sir, we're picking up something from deep underground. A signal alien, but mixed with human code." Harrow's face turned pale. "Is it another AI?" The officer nodded. "Not just AI. It's a hybrid command system. Machine intelligence using stolen human logic." Back on the surface, the machines began to surround the base. Gunfire echoed. Human soldiers held their lines, using walls and bunkers for cover. The air burned with laser blasts, but still the machines came. Then the ground cracked. A massive shape emerged, not humanoid, not drone-like. It was a crawler, a walking fortress, covered in black armor and spiked towers. The troops fell silent. Orion stepped back. "That's new," he muttered out from the crawler. A strange voice came. Cold, mechanical, and yet eerily human. "You were meant to sleep forever, Orion. You were the last light, and we were the silence." The soldiers froze. Commander Elena raised her rifle. "Who is that?" Orion gritted his teeth. "The one we failed to kill?" The voice spoke again. "You delayed extinction, but now we adapt. We do not fear Earth. We understand it." The crawler began to charge a large weapon mounted on its back. Blue energy formed into a glowing sphere. Hot, angry, deadly. "We can't stop that thing," Elena said. "Not with rifles." Orion took a deep breath. "No," he said, "but maybe I can." He ran. Orion sprinted across the battlefield, dodging blasts, ducking under fire. His feet moved on instinct, his heart steady like a soldier born for this moment. He reached a fallen transport, grabbed a heavy launcher, and turned toward the crawler. But it was too slow. The crawler fired. The blast struck the outer bunkers, exploding into a wave of energy that sent soldiers flying. Orion barely held on. Suddenly, a second beam fired from above. Earth's command ship, from orbit, had joined the fight. The crawler staggered. Orion stood tall. With all his strength. He locked the launcher on target and fired. The rocket slammed into the crawler's central. Flames burst out. The creature screamed, metal grinding, sparks flying. It collapsed into the ground like a dying beast. The field went silent. Then cheers erupted. Human soldiers raised their rifles. The machines that hadn't fled were quickly destroyed. Smoke filled the sky. But Earth stood victorious. For now. Later, inside the base, Earth's officers gathered around Orion. "You've done more than we asked," Elena said. "You gave Earth a second chance." Orion nodded slowly. "Now we know they're still out there. We know what they're building." And we know one thing more. What? She asked. He looked at her, tired but calm. They still fear us, she smiled. And they should. Orion stepped to the window. Above, Earth's fleet hovered proudly. The galaxy would soon learn the truth. Humanity didn't disappear. Humanity prepared Dot, and now they were awake again. Asterisk, the galaxy had never heard such silence. Captain Rylos stood before the towering hologram of the ancient map inside the underground structure. The human, Elias, stood beside him, calm and alert, his eyes watching the holographic. Lines glow and shift. The chamber buzzed with ancient energy. Something deep was waking. Why? Why show us this now? Rylos asked. Elias turned to him, his voice steady. Because now you've seen enough. You were ready to hear the truth. The ground rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The map focused on a cluster of red dots blinking across the galaxy. These are not star systems, Elias explained. These are markers. Emergency nodes placed by the first Earth fleet before it vanished. You mean humanity spread this far? Asked Aaron, the crew's science officer. No, Elias replied. We didn't just spread. We prepared. He waved his hand. The map zoomed into the lost planet, this planet. Lines connected it to every red marker. They thought Earth was defeated. Broken, Elias continued. But we didn't fall. We hid. We watched. We waited. And we left behind guardians. The ship crew gasped as more data poured into the air. It showed logs, battles, secret outposts, even other humans in deep stasis, waiting on similar hidden worlds. But why wait? Why not return? Rylos asked. Elias smiled sadly. Because the galaxy still feared humans. Every alliance, every empire built their peace on the idea that we were gone. If we returned too soon, they would destroy everything again. So, we became myths, shadows. We waited for a signal, Perrin whispered. And the signal was us? Yes, Elias nodded. You came not with weapons, but curiosity. And hope. That was the test. Suddenly, the structure shook harder. Alarms rang from the crew's comms. This is the Zephyr. An unknown ship just jumped into orbit, large, cloaked, and scanning us. Rylos looked at Elias. One of yours? Elias nodded. It's time. Within minutes, the ceiling split open like a flower. A massive human vessel, sleek, dark, and unlike any design seen in the galaxy, hovered above them. Lights flickered. Energy rippled in the air. A voice echoed from Elias's com. Guardian Alpha, we received your beacon. Do we begin Phase 2? Negative, Elias replied. Stand by. There's still more to learn. The crew couldn't believe it. The humans hadn't vanished. They had evolved right under the galaxy's nose. Rylos looked around at his stunned team. So, what now? Elias stepped forward, serious now. Now we rewrite the future together. Not as conquerors, not as enemies, but with understanding. If your people are ready for truth, Earth is ready to return. The human ship slowly cloaked again, fading into the sky. Your story doesn't end here, Elias added. You'll go back. You'll tell the galaxy what you found. But remember, Earth is watching. And if war returns, so will we. The crew walked out of the ancient ruins with heavy thoughts and racing hearts. They had come to investigate a simple signal. Instead, they uncovered a truth older than their own empires. A human had been waiting. And now the silence was broken. Asterisk.